Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another video. My name is Chris Down. Today we are going to be covering landing pages. So what I've got today is I pretty much put together some notes, and then I put together kind of like a mock landing page that what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the notes. We're going to jump back and forth between the landing page and those notes, and hopefully it will provide you some value. So if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be uploading a ton more content going forward. So if you want to see more of this, make sure you subscribe. And yeah, let's just kind of jump right into it. So a quick little disclaimer with this landing page. This is not a live landing page. What I did for this video is I kind of put together a mock landing page, pulling all of the things that I know and just kind of put it together. There's no traffic going to it, so hasn't been tested, but it should be perfectly fine to kind of base it off the pages that I run right now. And the whole purpose of this video is not to just like hand you a landing page and say, here you go. The idea is to actually like educate you on how to build those landing pages, what goes into it, the thoughts that go into actually putting it together, and kind of roughly how you want to structure them and all that kind of stuff. With this page, I put it together pretty quickly, I'm not going to lie. So when we look at the mobile version of it, there's going to be certain things with like text sizes, all that kind of stuff that might be a little bit off. So I'm aware if you notice that. But yeah, like I said, I just want to give you the structures, want to give you the thought processes so that you can take those ideas and then implement them for your business. So before we actually look at the page, this is not going to be like a step-by-step, here's how to build this, like click this, click that. Because the reality is there's a ton of different landing page builders, a ton of different softwares. Doing that would be way too complicated. Every single software is a little bit different, and but the foundations of building a page that works kind of remain the same regardless of the software you're using. So some different ways you can put together a page. I personally use WordPress with a theme. I have a hosting account. I pretty much put all my client landing pages on their hosting account. I have a license to a theme, and I can just use that theme for every single WordPress installation. And the great thing about it is the theme that I use is this Divi theme right here. It is drag and drop, and it's pretty much kind of like a landing page builder, but it is a little bit more complicated. And the only reason I'm doing it is really I've been doing websites for a long time. I'm really familiar with it. It just works. It's cost effective. So that's what I'm doing. I'm on WordPress. I'm using a theme. That said, if you want something that is more simplified, there's a lot of landing page builders. There's Unbounce, Lead Pages, Instapage. There's a ton more. They can be expensive, but they are really, really user friendly. So they're all, the one that I'm probably the most familiar with is Instapage. It is pretty much just drag and drop. You can resize things, and it's really, really easy to use, really easy to get a landing page together. That said, Instapage is very expensive. If you are kind of working on a startup budget, you might not want to spend like $200 a month on a landing page tool. There's other options. Obviously, you have Wix, you have Squarespace. I personally don't use these. I've never really built websites on either of those, so I'm not the person to really comment on that, but there should be ways within those builders to just kind of put together a landing page. It might take a little bit of tweaking, but you should be able to do that. But the whole key with the tools and everything is just pick one thing and get good at it. Don't try to learn every single different tool. Every platform is a little bit different. I dealt with this earlier on. With me getting into marketing and all that, I would try all these different tools, but the best way to do anything is just to pick one thing and get good at it. That's kind of why I've just been sticking with WordPress and the theme is, I've been using it for a while. I haven't wanted to change it. I've gotten good at it. I have a system. Do the same thing for yourself. Like, don't worry about trying to master every single tool. Just get one and get good at that one thing. So let us actually hop over to the landing page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through the landing page once. We'll just go through it. We'll look at it on desktop. We'll look at it on mobile. And then below this, I have some notes, and we'll just kind of go bit by bit through those notes, and I'll kind of walk you through all this stuff. So let's get over here. This is what the landing page looks like. It is nothing to write home about from a design perspective, and that's something we're going to talk about later. And I'm actually in the back end of the Divi theme, so that you're going to see all this kind of stuff popping up. But first thing you're going to see here, right when somebody hits the page, Headline, very, very basic. This is one thing I recommend is don't get fancy with the headlines, especially if you're, kind of learning things. And for a lot of my headlines, I don't get fancy. I just call out specifically what they're looking for. In this case, junk removal service. Sometimes we'll put a little sub headline. So junk removal service serving your location and surrounding areas. You can it doesn't have to be that exact thing. Like let's say you service all of Tampa Bay, you could say serving Tampa Bay. Or if you service a certain county, you can say serving all of this county. The whole idea here is what you're doing is you're hitting what you do and where you serve like right off the bat. That's huge for local marketing. And then right underneath that, you have a little note, we remove all types of junk. And then I put a little etc. here because I didn't want to put a whole list. But list out some of the things that you remove. I like to do that not only in junk removal, but in other niches as well. Because what I'm doing right here with these three things, it's mainly for mobile traffic. So if I switch this over to the mobile view here, it's probably going to glitch right here because I am logged into WordPress. So normally that would be at the top, but this builder can be a little bit funky. So junk removal services, serving location, we haul all this kind of junk, call us. So it's like when somebody hits this page on mobile, that's the first thing they see. It's very clear, very concise, and it goes straight into the quote form from there. So this whole header portion of the page is really important because this is the first thing somebody's going to see. So you want to make sure this is simple, it's effective, it's clean, and people can just kind of see what you do, how to contact you, all that kind of stuff. And as we move down the page, you want to, this is another section I like to put in. It's all very basic. One thing you're going to notice is there's no like wild copywriting hacks. The simpler you can keep it, the better. Have a little about section. In this case, this is just a stock image. On your page, don't use stock images. What I'd recommend is have like a picture of your truck, have a picture of your crew, something like that. Really emphasize that you are a local business and have good, authentic pictures. Have some about us information, some notes here, additional things I like to include in this section. Have your hours of operation, have your service area, and if you have any kind of like benefit points you can include, like same day junk removal, free estimates, on time arrivals, all that kind of stuff. Add that into this about section. Another really critical section you want to have is testimonials. On every single page you do on your website, on your landing pages, everything, you want to have reviews. In this case, these are obviously just dummy reviews. What I usually do for this section is I'm actually going to go over to a Google business page and I literally just screenshot the reviews on that page, on the I guess used to be GMB, but GBP now. I just screenshot those reviews and I put them here. So it would be like a review here, review here, review here, just kind of like stacked vertically like that. And that works really, really well because the great thing about that is you can't just like fake a screenshotted review. It could be a Facebook review, it could be any kind of online review, as long as people see like, okay, they kind of screenshotted this from Google or Facebook or whatever. That's really powerful and you want to have that. Again, switching over to the mobile, you see one big thing I'm going to kind of talk about with the mobile layout is you want this to be clean and simple and focused. Like everything kind of, resizes down to mobile. It's easy to see, easy to understand. So kind of continuing on here, going past here, another little call to action block here. You want to have obviously the calls to action up at the top. And one thing I do also, you'll probably notice, is I try to have that header stick to the top of the page. So when you're on mobile and you're someone scrolling through the page, that header is going to stick with them as they go down the page. It's not going to look that crappy because this builder is a little glitchy, but on mobile that will stick to the top of the page. So that way you're going to have your logo, you're going to have your phone number right at the top, and you always want to have these be click to call as well. So continuing on, little call to action block. And then this is what I usually refer to as like the services section. So I'll have one section that'll be like about information, like about the business, about you. Keep it brief. You don't need to have like paragraphs of information because in reality, a lot of people are not going to read everything. But have some information about your business, have the reviews, have another call to action, have, a bit about your services, some pictures of, maybe before and after pictures, talk about your services, and then another little footer call to action. So you want to have a few calls to action on the page. Everything needs to look clean on desktop, on mobile. So that's the quick kind of run through of the page. Now let's hop back over to the notes. and let's go through some of the things that I want to talk about. So the first thing, and if you've watched any of my other tutorial videos, is we want to talk about message match. I've heard it referred to as relevance as well. But one of the biggest keys is you can have a landing page that looks good and is clean and everything, but you need to make sure that everything through that funnel, through that process, is lining up. So if your ads, for example, are saying something completely different than the landing page, it's probably just not going to convert. So if anybody hits this page, you want them to be searching something like junk removal or junk removal near me or junk hauling. So pretty much take anybody who's searching for like junk removal and junk hauling, show them junk removal and junk hauling ads, and then send them to a page that talks about junk removal. So it's just, it sounds overly basic, but if you have people searching for junk removal or junk hauling or whatever, and you show them ads for junk removal and junk hauling, but you send them to a page and it says construction debris removal, or other way around, if they were searching for construction debris removal and you send them to a page that says junk removal, it'll probably still convert. But in that case, I would change the headline, make it say construction debris removal, maybe change up some of the pictures to show construction debris removal. Same thing with demolition. Like if you want to generate demolition leads, you want your ads to talk about demolition, you want your landing page to call out demolition, types of things that you can demolish, and then all of that. So it's like everything needs to line up. I know that's not really tied into landing pages specifically, but it's a really, really big thing with Google Ads. If you watch the other tutorials, I go into it more in depth, but you need to, like, if you're bidding on junk removal keywords, you need to show somebody a junk removal ad, and then they need to hit a landing page that says junk removal. So that's a really big thing that I need to kind of talk about before we get to the other notes. Another thing, if you're building your landing page, what I kind of get into the mindset of what the person is looking for, like, because when somebody goes to Google, they have a problem they need to solve. And I use this sort of idea to not overcomplicate things. Like I recommend not overcomplicating the headline, the content, like don't try to incorporate a bunch of like fancy slogans and everything like that. Because at the end of the day, like I'm not a copywriter. I'm not a master copywriter. I'm not a master of design, but my pages that I'm running right now are still converting 20, 30% or more. And that's solid for Google Ads. So a few questions you can kind of think about when you are putting together your landing page. When somebody's clicking on an ad, they're going to be thinking about a few things. So one of the first things they're going to be thinking about is, can you solve my problem? Because when somebody goes to Google, they search junk removal near me. You show them an ad saying, hey, we can remove your junk. And the first thing they're going to be thinking when they hit the page is, can you actually solve my problem? So if we switch back over here, this is just calling that out right away. It's like, hey, we're a junk removal service. It doesn't have to be anything ridiculous. Like this right here is kind of answering that question right away. And this is what they're going to be looking for once they hit the page. Like that needs to be very, very clear that, hey, we can solve your problem. Another thing that they're going to be thinking, they're going to be kind of questioning in their head is, where are you located and do you serve my area? We're calling that out right away. Other ways of doing it is, is just sort of putting in the text, we serve your area, something like that. You can address that in the About Us section, where you can have like a little service area section, but you need to address that on the page as well. It's like, hey, we can solve your problem, we serve your area. And then another thing you want to talk about is, can I trust you? And this is where not only the About Us information comes in, but a couple other things. The reviews is huge. So I like to always have reviews on landing pages because people, you can talk about yourself and talk about how good you are and your services and everything, but one of the biggest things people are going to do is they're going to look to other human beings to see if they can trust you or not. So what they will do is, if they see reviews on the landing page of a bunch of 5-star reviews, they're going to trust you that much more, and that's going to help them kind of get them over the line to actually convert into a lead. And then the final thing you can think about is, how can I contact you? Actually, one more point with the can I trust you, and we're going to talk about this again in a little bit. Make sure the images are authentic. So don't put any stock photos on there. Have a picture of your truck, picture of your crew, picture of jobs you've done. You want it to look like you're a local business, and that's another way you can kind of boost up that trust factor. Another thing you can also do is drop in what I kind of refer to as trust badges. And those are just like, little badges you'll see on like Angie's List or Home Advisor, the like little trusted badges. You can drop those in the testimonial section. But the final thing is, how can I contact you? And that's really just kind of keeping these calls to actions really kind of big and bold, and making it obvious how they can contact you. Call us today for a free quote, phone number, and then making this click to call or tap to call on mobile, another call to action. So it's just putting that right in front of their face, and then especially on mobile, with this sort of sticking to the top, and then you got a phone number there, get a free quote, call us, fill out a form, and then you've got the other call to action there. So it's like kind of constantly having the how can you contact us right in front of them. So next part, we pretty much already touched on this. This is the general page structure. I kind of use these sections interchangeably. So I always have a header section. Actually, I think I might have missed one last thing here. Yeah. So 80% of this is going to be done like the above the fold content, answering a lot of those questions. So you want to make sure like this section up here is what you sort of focus the most attention on. Everything else is kind of like, it's really very basic. Like I don't need to, there's no like design philosophy behind this. To just kind of get the information on there in a clean way. But this, it's kind of like if you can spend 80% of your focus on just developing what is at the very top of the page, that's probably the most important. So if you can answer all of these questions right up at the top of the page, that's going to be really helpful. So the page structure, these kind of things, I kind of covered these while I was going through the page. I usually have a header section, about section, services section, and then the reviews and trust building section. Touched on that before. You can put the trust badges in there, and then the call to action sections. I think we covered that pretty well, but there's no like specific order for these. Obviously you want to have the header section up at the top. I usually go header section, about section, and then you can like switch up all of these as you see fit. That's something you can test, but this is sort of the generic page structure that I work with. Like I mentioned before, don't worry about design. Amazing design does not always translate into better conversions. As a matter of fact, more complicated things and more distraction can actually lower your conversion. So if you got a bunch of, moving stuff and it's, a bunch of different colors and all this kind of stuff, that can actually hurt the conversion rate. And some of the best converting landing pages I've seen have been super basic, like just pretty much this. Honestly, I've seen landing pages that are less complicated than this get really high conversion rates. And this is very, very simple. The whole idea is you want it simple, you want it clean, and you want it really, really easy to use, especially on mobile. Because a lot of your traffic is going to come from mobile. You want it just very, very simple to use on mobile. And so don't worry too much about design. Just get something together, make sure it looks clean. And one thing I probably should have added to this as well, don't have navigation up at the top. So when somebody hits this page, you don't want to have, your menu and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to have links off to social media. When somebody hits this page, you don't want them clicking off of this page. So don't have a link off to your Facebook. Don't have a link off to your Instagram. Don't have a navigation menu up here, because when you hit, like if you're sending somebody from Google to this page, you want to make sure they take the next action and not like click off to your Facebook page. Because if they click off to your Facebook page, then you just spent that money to get somebody to the page and they didn't actually convert into a lead. So that's another thing I probably should have put in my notes. Didn't have in my notes, but I did remember it, which is good. Touched on this before. We want to make it look authentic. And I kind of like to look at it as just making it look and feel like you're a local business. If somebody's searching for junk removal near me, they want to make sure that you actually you actually serve their area. I mentioned this before, put in pictures of your truck. Don't put any stock photos. Make sure, you have pictures of past jobs. If you have pictures of your crew, that's good as well. One thing you can do is, if you do have any videos, like don't put a bunch of videos on your page, but you could have maybe a quick overview video of your business. Just having one on there can help out. But yeah, just having those on there will help you look a little bit more authentic, look like an actual local business, because those stock photos can just look kind of sketchy, and that can kind of turn people off. They might think it's not an actual local business. Touched on this already. You want it to be mobile friendly. Just go through it. Every landing page builder is going to have a way to kind of like size it from desktop to mobile. Go through it, make sure it looks good, make sure it looks clean, And like I said before, make sure everything is really, really user friendly. Make sure all those phone numbers, like this one and this one down here, make sure all of that is tap to call, especially this one up top. So that way on mobile, people are just able to tap it and then it'll pull up their phone app. And this is really, I would recommend spending the most time on this. A lot of your traffic is going to be on mobile devices. And in a lot of cases, I would actually recommend just running mobile only traffic on your Google Ads campaign from the start. It's less things to optimize, and it's a lot easier, I feel like, to kind of optimize a mobile landing page. So make sure it's mobile friendly, and then make sure it loads really, really fast. So probably the main thing, if I were to give you one thing that you could do to make it load fast, is make sure your images are compressed. Make sure they are at a smaller file size. There's a ton of free tools online. But if you're taking, a photo straight off your phone and just putting it on the website, or on the landing page rather, it's going to, the file size of the image is going to be too big. That's going to impact how long it takes to load. And if your page loads too slowly, people could actually just say, screw this, hit the back button, and then go back to Google and go to the next person. So make sure you are resizing those images, compressing the images, and getting the page to load fast. I use a tool, GT Metrics. Pretty much what you do is you just put the URL into that tool, and you can see how fast your page loads. It'll give you a letter grade. It's really easy to use. There's also Google Page Speed Insights, so I would recommend at least just kind of dropping that into one of those tools to see where it's at. And probably the biggest thing that I see is just optimizing the image sizes, compressing them, resizing them, but just make sure you have a fast load time on your landing pages. Offers, I usually just do a free quote, free estimate, something like this, free quote, get a free estimate. I've seen no issues with that on my end. If you do have an offer, make sure that you incorporate it into your call to action somewhere. So it could be like, let's say you do $20 off new customers or something like that. You could say, new customers get $20 off their order or whatever. Call us today or something like that, or call us today for $20 off your job, whatever that might be for you. So if you do have an offer, make sure you put it in the ad, put it on the landing page, make it, clear. And yeah, like I said, I don't really do a ton of offers, but if you do an offer, make sure you incorporate it there, make it clear, and also put it in the ad. Privacy policy in terms of service. This is one last thing we'll talk about here. Make sure, I always put it in the footer, have a privacy policy in a terms of service. This is just something that Google likes, and it's always best to be on Google's good side. So I always link over, I link to the homepage of your website, or I guess the homepage of, whatever domain you're building this on. I'll link to the homepage there. I will put a privacy policy on it. So I'll link over to a privacy policy, and then I'll link over to terms of service as well. If you have those already for your business, you should just be able to link over to those. Shouldn't be an issue, but you do want to link to a privacy policy and a terms of service. And that is pretty much it for the overall design of the landing page. Like I said, it's nothing super complicated. Just kind of follow those formats, get it implemented, and just sort of test. So that's the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'll just kind of go through it one more time on mobile just so you can see it again. Like I said, it's not, you don't need to be a design master to put together landing pages. Just make sure you kind of follow those frameworks. Keep it simple, keep it really, really easy to read, keep it really easy to interact with for the user, and you should be good. But the last thing I wanted to talk about was testing. So a lot of Google Ads comes down to testing, comes down to optimization, and the same can be said for a landing page. I've put landing pages out there that didn't convert as high as I wanted them to, and if that happens, what you need to do is you need to test. You need to change things. With some of those landing page builders, you can actually do testing on there. It's called A/B testing, and you can run two different variations of the landing page against each other, and then you just go with the one that works better. You can do that within Google Ads. You can also do that with Google has their own kind of A/B optimization tool that you can use, and pretty much, if things are not working on your landing page that you build, don't forget to test things. Tweaking little things like the headline, the call to action, the content, the layout. There's an endless number of things you can test on a landing page. And yeah, if the landing page that you build is not working, it doesn't mean that landing pages don't work. It could mean that something just needs to be tweaked, something needs to be changed. There could be an issue with the message match from the ads to the landing page. There's a ton of different things that be going on, but that's pretty much it for this video. It went on for a little while here, but I wanted to kind of get something together for you to show you more, I guess, like the concepts behind landing pages, not necessarily how to piece it together bit by bit. But like I said, don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it super, fancy. Don't worry about being a master copywriter. Just get something together that's clean, that communicates, that you're able to solve a problem for your potential customer, and you should be in a good spot. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want more. And if you are a junk removal business and you are looking for somebody to run your ads for you, I do have a link in the description below. You can apply for a free consultation with me. I'll review that, see if I can actually help you out and let you know. But yeah, that's it for right now. Again, like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.